your phone screens, your tablet screens, or your computer screens. We do not have the NASCAR driver with us today. We have a individual with the same name that I'm pretty positive could pin the NASCAR driver in probably less than a lap around the track. Sir, if you would, tell us who you are.
I'm Tony Stewart. I wrestle for Scott High School.
And of course, making reference to Tony Stewart, the legendary NASCAR driver. And like I said, we can get you and Tony Stewart lined up, man, a Tony on Tony battle. I got my money's on you all day. You know what I mean? My money's on you. So, man, Covington Scott has a pretty good tradition, especially in your heyday, the late 90s, early 2000s. They were doing some big things, and we'll talk about the history of and the state champions and all that just in a minute. But what gets you into wrestling, man? How do you find the sport?
Well, I grew up in North Carolina, and it was about the 8th grade, and I heard about wrestling, and I just got into it. And my first year, I don't know about people that grow up wrestling all their lives, but I got my butt kicked. And that made me fall in love with the sport. And I just, ever since then, I loved it. And the more I lose, I just stuck with it and kept at it.
It's funny how this sport does that to you, ain't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And especially, admittedly, I wasn't the best wrestler that's ever stepped on a mat, but I think the long bus rides, the cutting weight, all that kind of stuff, for the length that I've done it. And now this is my starting into my 19th year officiating, the early mornings, going to the gym when it's dark, leaving when it's dark, seeing, hundreds of kids come through. You're just like, man, this is not the best way to invest a Saturday, but you just you get where you love it. Kind of like what was it in the Shawshank Redemption? These walls are funny. First you hate them, then you kind of love them, then you grow to depend on them. I think that's the way we become as wrestlers, is we just kind of come to depend on that monotonous on a Saturday or weeknight, whenever it is, knowing what we're going to be doing. So you come to Kentucky as a junior in high school, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no, I just want to make sure that we're getting our information correct. And did going to Covington Scott for wrestling, did that stick out, or did you just move into the district, or how did it work for you?
When we were moving, my father was looking around at the schools in the area in North Kentucky, and Scott was one of the schools that stood out to him. And so then, by fault, I was in the district and ended up just, going to Scott.
Yeah, man, because Northern Kentucky, they've got some great wrestling schools up there. Just off the top of my head, you got your Campbell counties, your Rouse, your Boone counties, Connors, Simon Kenton. Scott has, 10 state champions. So just about anywhere you go in Northern Kentucky, you're going to land in one of those three, Boone, Kenton, and Campbell. You're going to land somewhere where there's some good wrestling going on. So you come to Kentucky. Do you immediately, like when your family moves in, do you go to the mat room and say, hey, coach, I just moved into I want to wrestle? Or how does it go for you?
Basically, I just moved in, and it was kind of like the outsider because, I'm just somebody that's new that wanted to wrestle, but nobody knows who I am and nobody's ever seen anything. So I kind of was trying to fill my way through the smoke to, find my way to the mat and fill out who was who.
Mm-hmm. And that's in doing this series, man, and just talking to people, getting things lined up, the number of families that have moved in to Kentucky, and they've I'm sure this goes for every single sport, but where this is a wrestling specific channel and series, is a lot of family decisions have been made based on wrestling teams' reputations. Maybe they'll move a little bit closer, maybe in the same county, but they'll move a little bit closer to one school than the other, or they know a certain coach is at this school, and it's kind of cool to know the backstories of everybody moving in. But man, Covington Scott, I keep saying Covington Scott because I'm not from that area. Everybody up there just calls it Scott. and we have to. In Kentucky, we have Scott County
Hmm.
and Covington Scott, and you're at meets, and both schools are there, and the announcer doesn't know the difference, and they're like,
Right.
is that Scott County or Covington Scott? So I always try to preface that way. It's just the referee in me. So you come in, I guess that would be what, the 94, 95 season. Is that correct?
It's correct. Yes.
Okay. And did you get any tournaments in? Did you get to make it to districts, regions? How did it go for you?
Yeah, yeah. I wrestled. If I remember correctly, I made it to districts and I made it to regionals, but that was it.
Okay.
I didn't make it to state. I didn't qualify. I wasn't alternate. So it was a rough year, but
Hey, it happens, man. It happens. At 96, though, man, you made up for it. And it was the first year at the dungeon, so you got the full experience of under the lights, the dungeon, man. All the best atmosphere for any high school sport, doesn't matter what it is, was the dungeon in Frankfort. So let's talk about your 1996 state tournament. You start off the tournament with it says 15-1, and I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a tech fall or what. But do you remember, was that a tech fall against Adam Scott, Franklin County?
It was a tech.
Okay, that's the way it's wrote on the paper. It looks like it was a tech fall, but I wanted to make sure. So yes, then you move on to the quarters. You're wrestling Antonio Duncan from Hopkinsville. You win that by a fall. You move on to the semis. You're wrestling James Carter from North Hardin. You win that by a fall as well, man. So you're coming in with a tech fall and 2 pins. And you're pretty much the new kid on the block, to use a 90s reference. I mean, you moved in, didn't really get too much exposure as a junior, and unless somebody just maybe saw you at a meet, you're kind of an unknown, aren't you?
Basically.
Now that sometimes that can work to your advantage, man. Nobody have time to scout you out or knowing, your strengths, your weaknesses, or hey, stay away from his his head and arm, or stay away from, he's a really good upper body attacks, or he's really good on shots. So kind of work to your advantage. You get to the finals, you're wrestling John Mark Hutchinson from Caldwell County. Now, for those that may not know the geography of Kentucky, Caldwell County and Kenton County, the Covington area, they are nowhere close. Caldwell County is almost on the Mississippi River, and Kenton County, I think Covington Scott's high school is about a good driver shot away from the Ohio River. So, two far, far, far away schools. Did you guys wrestle Caldwell County earlier in the year? Do you remember?
We wrestled them at state duels.
Okay. Now, Caldwell County had a guy that wrestled Joe Carr Jr. in the finals named Andrew Tinsley. I'm not sure if you remember that match, but the reason I bring it up is, of course, Joe, as we know, Joe's videos are on the channel, but that's the one person that gave Joe Carr a challenge his entire high school career when he was on his roll, was Andrew Tinsley, and it was I don't remember the name of the meet, and Tinsley, he threw Joe. Sometime, I don't know the exact name or what it was, but Joe told me that. Some other people that were there said that was the first time they'd ever seen Joe taken down ever. And Joe ended up winning that bout. I don't know, decision, but in the state finals, it was at 140. So I guess 2 matches before you, Tinsley comes out, tries the exact same throw, and Joe counters it and pins him in the first period. Do you remember anything about that?
No. I think everything before my match was kind of like a blur.
I got you. And so let's talk about that real quick. Coming your first year at the state finals, the first year at the dungeon, an amazing atmosphere under the lights, the crowd literally right there on the mat. Like I said, in every video at the dungeon, the best atmosphere ever. So nobody really knew what to expect. We heard people that were wrestlers. We'll talk about who all we've got on the channel just in a minute. But the coaches, they didn't really know what to expect whenever the lights went down, how it was going to look. The parents, people, fans that were there didn't really know what to expect. So when you're standing out there getting ready for the face-off and the lights start, coming down, they start doing the intro and all that kind of stuff. What's that feel like, knowing you're the first ones out there getting to experience that?
It was a real good feeling. I didn't know it was the first time that was ever set up that way, but it felt like something that you'd see on TV for like Super Bowl or something but for high school wrestling.
Yeah.
So it was pretty great feeling.
That's what I've said in so many videos is like, you knew this was a state championship event. You didn't have to guess that, is this a regular meet? Is this, an off season? You knew when you were standing there in the dungeon and those lights started coming down, this is it. This is the main event of WrestleMania. I mean, it doesn't get any. This is Mike Tyson, UFC era stuff. I mean, you just don't see this at a high school event. And there you are, the 90s, man, 96. It's just when I first started the series, one of the first, I think I got 15 at one time from the archive, the video archive. And one of the first ones I watched was 96 because I knew how, it was the first year at the dungeon, and I wanted to watch the face-off just to see how. I've heard the story so many times about it, and I was like, man, this is so. And you can see how it evolved over the years, the music, how they run out from the back. So after you win that final or that semifinals, going into the finals, knowing you've wrestled your opponent before, what's the game plan? Is it just did you win the first match? Did he win it? Do you remember?
No, he won. He beat me. I remember. I actually remember it was right before we wrestled him. The state rankings came out, and his name was number 1 on the piece of paper, and I wasn't even on it. And I think I went into it mentally beat already. So yeah. So I knew when we met at state, I knew I beat myself on the first time we met, and the second time it wasn't going to be the same.
Man, that's a great piece of advice for the youngsters that watch this. Don't beat yourself. If you're going to get beat, make sure your opponent does it. Never beat yourself. Never go into a match thinking you can't win, or you get mentally defeated before you even shake hands, man. That's a great life lesson for not just wrestling, but just anything in general. So has it been a while since you've seen your match video?
It has. It's been a number of years. I can't tell you how long, but it's been quite some time.
Well, man, I'm glad that we have it. We have, like I said, we've got the face-off and the match video. So we are going to pull up the video here. The match before this was our buddy Ian Horn from Woodford, and you're looking there at Hank Penner from Hopkinsville. And, of course, Ian's videos are on the channel, 96, 97, 98 state champion. And before we get into this, you were kind of sandwiched between Ian at 145 and Hank, which was the state's number 1 and 2, and our buddy David Moore from Henry Clay at 160. So was it kind of a decision? This is my best shot to win it. Is it 152?
No. It was just, that's what the coach put me at, and that's where I basically fell in weights, and whoever came to my class at 152, I was going to wrestle regardless of the outcome.
I got you. Now, for record purposes, who was the coach at Scott then?
Coach Matting.
Okay, I don't think I'm familiar with him, but I'm glad we got that information. All right, man. Enough talking about it. Let's watch it. There you come walking out. You get your photo taken. And here you are, man. You got on the blue singlet with the white, like two-tone appearance there. So from neutral, my man, what's your go-to takedowns, Tony?
Normally, it's a double leg takedown is what I prefer normally.
I got you.
But I also knew he was quick because I've wrestled him in the past, so I kind of a little more hesitant.
I got you. So right there, you done like a shuck and then tried like for a trip. That was pretty good. That's pretty smart on your part. Try to get him off balance there. That's something that nowadays, man, we hardly ever see. It's like a good bear hug shuck to a trip. It's all, the scrambling now we see. It looks like he's trying for that wrist control for like some type of like a duck under or some type of throw by. So did you kind of game plan that after you wrestled him the first time?
No. This last time I don't think we hooked up as much as we did. Like I knew he was quick and he felt stronger than I did. So I knew I wasn't going to let him just manhandle me.
Yeah. Headgear comes loose there, man. Got to get it fixed. Tried for just test him out there, reaching for that leg, seeing what he's going to do. The camera crew must be sitting right by the Scott section because I've heard everybody. Did you have a lot of family and friends here?
I did.
All right, so we're locked up. You're not giving anything up. You've got looks like through the crotch. I can't really tell, like a body lock. And he's got that, or he has your legs, but he don't have them locked. Right out of bounds. That's a good scramble on your guys' part, not to give anything up. Nothing yet. Now, right there, you went for that throw, and when I was watching it, I was like, man, that was good.
Landed. I tried.
Yeah. All right, so end of the first. You're in the down position here. First time we've seen you down. So were you a good, like, when I say good, like being down, could you get to your feet? Were you a reversal type person?
I was more of a reversal or a Grammy Peterson type person.
Okay.
Trying to get these long legs to stand up, for me, it was slow.
Yeah. Now, the video really, you can't tell, but about how tall are you?
I'm 6'2".
Oh, you're 6'2"? My goodness. Yeah, I'd say it takes a while to get the legs under you, don't it?
It does.
That's one thing about, video. You can watch it, but you really can't get like a aspect ratio here on how tall people are unless you just know them, So he's doing a pretty good job riding you here. He's really like not really working any offense. He's just doing a good job keeping you down. So we're out of bounds there. We going back to the center, I should say. So we're probably, I don't know, a minute or so in. Did the game plan mentally change about, all right, I got to do something different here to get up, or I can't let him ride me the whole period? Or
exactly. I need to do something because, like you said, he was riding me pretty good.
There it is. So you hit a Granby, you come out on the other side with the leg. But he's doing a good job keeping his hips away. When he's got your arm pulled across there like he's trying for a cradle, did you pick up on that? Like, I got to get my arm free here.
Yeah, definitely, because that was what I was known for in high school was the far cradle. So I knew.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Long arms, so I could.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. I knew. There you go. Good scramble by you. Get your reversal. And we're out of bounds. Now, do you remember like being able to hear your coaches? Because a lot of guys have said it was so loud they couldn't hear it, or
yeah, I didn't hear anybody.
kind of blurted out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're out of bounds. Now on top, we've got to see you in top position. Are we what? We said a cradle, but to get to the cradle, are we what, legs in or?
No, not normally. Normally, I just would go straight for it any chance I could get.
I got you. So end of the second, you're up 2-0. He takes down and get a caution for a start there. That's a good call by the ref. Yep. So caution. So both of you guys have a caution. Wait on the whistle, fellas. Wait on the whistle.
Anxious.
There we go. Clean start. Doing a pretty good job there controlling him. He's able to get to his feet, but no point. So did the thought or the game plan, if you will, of cutting him and just duking it out on your feet and see what happens? Because a lot can happen, man, when you're on top. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. No, I felt like we locked up a lot, and I didn't think my being on our feet was going to be conducive. So I'd rather try to just stay on and see where it went.
I got you. Hey, man, it was. So he hit you with the reversal right there. So we're tied up 2-2, both scoring. All 4 points have been by reversals. And it looks like you're trying for a Merkel right here. But you get free right there, and that should be a reversal.
I don't think they give. Yeah, I think that's what I did. I got away.
Yep, you got an escape. So it's late in the third period. You're up 3-2. I'll say stay in the center. Ooh, I'll say that's a good call by the ref for backing up. He's in pretty deep, but doesn't really have anything. And there it is, man. The final, you win by final score 3-2. And that's where it ends. Excellent performance. Watching it back, man, does anything jar or trigger about the match or anything like that?
No, I remember when I first scored my first 2 points on him, it was a forward row. And then, I've never used it in a match. And then first time I used it, it was in state, the finals. But, there's a lot of things you sit here and watch and you go, man, why didn't I do this a little different? Or why didn't I do that? Or
Yeah, man, no, it was a great performance. You could tell that you guys kind of canceled each other out on some things. You was able to stop a lot of what he was trying to do just by the way he was those quick little filling you out like a little try to ankle pick or shot or whatever. He was able to stuff some of those, and you weren't able to do anything like with your normal far side cradle. So pretty good match, man. You had to win it without without being able to use your bread and butter. So it was a good performance. So Covington Scott, I've got them with 10 individual state champions. Let's talk about them real quick. 1987, a gentleman by the name of Tim Vaughn. Of course, you in 96, Jared Combs in 97, Mike Fields in 97, Clint Bell in 98, Dylan Bell in 98 and 99. Rest in peace to Jason Davio, 2000 and 2001 state champion. Jason's memorial video is on the channel. And then the latest state champion for Covington Scott is 2019 Brendan Pye. So, man, like I said, great tradition. Also in 1998, Covington Scott had was the team state runners up. So, like I said, man, the mid to late 90s, early part of 2000s, they had some good individual wrestlers up there. And 96, man, such a great year. You add to that, to the lore, if you will, about the first crew coming through. Let's talk about the guys we've got on the channel so far. 112 pounds from Christian County, Sean Smith. 119 pounds from Oldham, Jason Talbot. 125 pounds from Sheldon Clark, Jeremy Rhodes. 130 pounds from Sheldon Clark, Scott Rhodes. 140 pounds, Joe Carr Jr. from Woodford. 145, Ian Horn from Woodford County. Our buddy David Moore from Henry Clay at 160. Tendai Cherasika at 171 from St. Xavier. Miguel Merritt at 189 from Hoptown. Miguel Merritt at 215 from Hoptown. And then the heavyweight was Ryan Putoff, and of course you at 152. The only two that we're missing from 96 are the 103 Chris Valentine and the 135 Kevin Case. And I've talked to Kevin. He's the wrestling coach now in Lexington. We've been talking to him. Just got to get him lined up and get with him outside of season or something like that, or at a meet or whatever. But man, just a great year of wrestling. 96, great way to bring in the dungeon, the experience of everything that was there, the whole ambiance. So, man, is there anything you'd like to say or add or take away or anything like that we've not covered? Feel free to. The floor is yours, man.
No, like you said earlier in the video, don't beat yourself going out there. And my advice is any chance you get to wrestle in the off season, wrestle. We were going to Cincinnati and doing camps all summer before my senior year. And I think it made a huge difference.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice, man. I think the gentleman's name that comes up a lot with off season in Northern Kentucky was Joe Neely. You remember Joe?
Mm-hmm.
I think he had like a Sambo Academy and a freestyle and Greco, and a lot of guys said they would go like you said, Cincinnati and do camps, and like Iowa, a couple different places. So youngsters get in and get as many off-season matches as you can. Just seeing better competition. You never know what can come of it, man. But Tony, man, thank you for doing this with us. I really appreciate it. I know the 96 crowd, they're going to be glad to see it. The Covington Scott crowd, like I said, you're outside of Jason Davio's memorial, you're our first Covington Scott. So if Clint Bell, Dylan Bell, Mike Fields, or Jared Combs sees this, reach out to me. I'd love to do your review video. We've got your match video. I'd love to get you on the channel and let the world see just how good the wrestling was at Covington Scott in the late 90s. But I think we've reached a great ending point, man. Again, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. And my tagline that I close out with, now that we have girls wrestling, I like to include the ladies to feel part of this. We will see you guys and girls on the mats.